The zombie apocalypse, except everyone knows what is going on because it is bloody 2024 and people watch movies. The Animatus Psychoticcia virus should have been a global threat that would have pushed mankind to the edge of extinction. It should have been the virus that would have created headlines such as Paris Falls, Continental Europe about to become a zombie wasteland, or perhaps Los Angeles overrun, San Francisco in direct path of infected onslaught, or maybe Guangzhou and Hainan Island lost, Hong Kong evacuated, Shanghai civilians ordered to relocate in face of undead epidemic. However, that wasn't what happened, at all. This was because the world had seen plenty of zombie apocalypse movies and television shows. 28 days and weeks later, Shaun of the Dead, Zombieland and The Walking Dead just to name a few. There were also plenty of zombie apocalypse computer games, such as Left 4 Dead 1 and 2, Dead Rising, Back 4 Blood, Infection Free Zone, The Last Stand and such others. When Patient Zero first broke loose in Egypt, the Animatus Psychoticcia virus seemed poised to break loose indeed. This was also because it had an incubation period, 72 hours. In just 2 weeks, outbreaks and attacks from infection-maddened patients had been reported in Italy, Pakistan, Russia, China, Canada, the United States, Japan, Madagascar, Thailand, Papua New Guinea, and New Zealand. However, while the world governments were famous for dawdling and implementing utterly ridiculous moves, such as lockdowns for previous crises such as COVID-19, they knew what they were dealing with here. The United Nations voted, and unanimously approved the Civilian Armament Resolution, which gave civilians worldwide the right to carry firearms and use them against infection-maddened patients. In addition to that, the Emergency Arming Grant also allowed all civilians worldwide to get their first firearm and 5 clips of ammunition, free of charge. In no time, an overwhelming percentage of the uninfected were armed and equipped. The recommended civilian firearm training program from the United Nations was also adopted by most nations, and in less than 3 weeks, most civilians were able to handle a basic firearm fairly well, and they also knew the 3 rules for stopping infection-maddened patients. 1. Always aim for the head or the neck. 2. If numbers were sufficient for an offensive strategy always is superior to a defensive strategy. 3. Until a vaccine for the virus is developed, a bite from an infection-maddened patient meant 2 options only: suicide by self-gunshot, or execution by fellow uninfected. Of course, there were rogues. Bandits, robbers, murderers and such other bottom feeders and total scum of society that took advantage of this. They did cause chaos. However, most of them were put down by fellow armed civilians, and most of society did know their priorities, and focused on getting rid of infected. Japan was the first nation, 3 months after Patient Zero, to declare complete elimination of infection-maddened patients. 4 days later, England declared victory too. The next day after England's declaration, Tunisia gave a live broadcast of the execution of the last infection-maddened patient. 1 week later, North and South Korea, in a super unique show of unity, herded the last 200 or so infected maddened patients from both North and South into the DMZ. Both nations' bomber aircraft and drones firebombed the DMZ thoroughly, carbonizing every last one of the infected. The pyrotechnic display was streamed online and broadcast on television worldwide. Russia locked its last 80 infected on a train to Siberia and streamed the nuking of that train. France constructed 2 guillotines to publicly televise the beheading of the last male and female infection-maddened patients. Saudi Arabia threw the last 15 infected into a concrete pit, and 10 of its richest citizens who paid for the privilege were given automatic rifles to enjoy shooting them down from the safety of towers at the sides of the pit. Finally, Switzerland and Germany jointly announced the successful development of a 100% safe vaccine. The vaccine was distributed worldwide, and the risk of new outbreaks was fully halted. The casualty list was almost ridiculously low. For a virus as dangerous as Animatus Psychoticcia that could spread by bite, there were only 178 million cases of infection worldwide. As for civilian deaths related to gun violence from the Civilian Armament Resolution and Emergency Arming Grant, there were only 876,702 deaths reported. The prize, though, was worth it. The world was safe from the virus. However, the WHO knew full well that other infections were only a matter of time, and it urged the United Nations to keep a vigilant watch and be prepared to arm the global civilian populace again if necessary.